My childhood's experience of Moomins are horrible.
Not dumb, not stupid.
Well, that
was probably a little weird.
Let's take a closer look.
I was just so excited to hear about this project because I grew up watching the movies and reading all the books, and now I live far away from home, so this project just felt really, really close to home.
Did you miss me?
I grew up in Sweden, and Tove Jansson, even though she was Finnish, she spoke Swedish, so they were originally written in Swedish, and they're still very famous in Sweden. I just thought it'd be a fun thing to be a part of, and the world that she created is so amazing.
This is something to tell Mama.
My childhood's experience of Moomins are horrible because my mother showed me, I don't know, when I was 3, 4, 5 maybe, one of the books, and she opened it up and said, "We're going to read now from the Moomins." And I was horrified because it was in color, and the color was so vivid, and the characters had hairs, looking like a punk band, and had stripes, and they have holes in them, and hair all over. And I was terrified.
No, don't cry. You're safe now. There.
They take some thinking from a kid. It needs something. I was terrified, but I picked it up again when I was maybe 12, 13. I started reading their books. And then later on in life, I had the luxury of meeting Tove Jansson. Intense woman, very driven and very, very inspiring, and very cool girl. Yeah, very, very beautiful, beautiful woman that has a big aura around her. It's like everything was like a hurricane after her. Where she walked, like things were like spinning.
Hold on tight, everyone. Looks like we're in for a rough ride.
When I was contacted by this project in the beginning, obviously the reason for being in it was the Moomintrolls. What I most vividly remember was I think it was a Christmas calendar in 24 episodes, where there were actually people inside a Moomintroll costume. And I loved it. And on the 24th of December, they took off their hats. And this was the 70s, so we were apparently supposed to learn something, that there were people inside the costumes. And it just killed me. But I still remember it vividly, and I remember the atmosphere of the Moomin doll.
Good, just a bit more.
I'm playing Snork Maiden, who is a very girly girl, but she's not a bimbo. She's very smart. I think there's a little bit of a fighter in Snork Maiden too. We get to see a little bit of her tougher sides too. When it comes to it, she'll stand up for Moomintroll and be a hero too.
I didn't think about it, I just did it.
When I got the request if I had any interest, it was, yeah, yay, absolutely. And I want to do Snusmumriken, Snufkin. Oh, that's the part we were going to offer you. Oh, yes. Yeah, Snufkin is the favorite part too of all the Moomins for me.
I was hoping we might bump into each other.
He is someone who lives where he finds a shelter for the day, and he walks around, and he's like something that you wanted to be as a young kid.
All right.
In the Moomin Valley, no one really travels. They go on their outings and stuff, but he walks around the world, and he has done that 1,000 years or 1,000 times. So all the wisdom and all the beauty he has seen, and maybe all the horror too, he knows.
Life gets complicated when you want to own things. I like to look at things and then walk away with them inside my head.
I play the voice of Moomintroll, who is a young boy and a very naive and slightly naive, but very determined and brave young boy. And the fundamental thing is in the way that Moomin Papa and Moomin Mama kind of, the way they raise their kid, Moomintroll, and they let him make his own mistakes, and I think that's very important. They're not overprotective. They're not telling him exactly what to do, and this is the way things work, and this is how you should act and react to things around you. They basically, it's even their idea, you know. In the beginning of the movie, they're like, well, why don't you go out and explore and find your own answers here.
I don't understand.
If you give your kids love and trust, then they will feel the way Moomintroll feels when he goes out into the world and there's a comet about to destroy the planet potentially, and he's like, well, it doesn't matter, because if I make it back by Sunday, I'm good back home, because then I have mom and dad, and there, you know, you have that kind of safe haven there.
When we're home, no dangers can touch us.
This universe of the Moomins is a universe where dreams are looked at with love and care, and the attitude towards people and reality doesn't have to be always practical, but it has to be curious, friendly, and with a positive attitude that thinks that you always feel that something really good might come out of this, something really interesting, and that's fantastic.
Perhaps you could retire to the hammock and do some private thinking.
I think Moomintrolls are definitely relevant today for the simple reason that these stories are evergreens. It's a little like Winnie the Pooh. It's philosophy on a very, very high level, but for kids and adults as well. And it's nothing better than to lie in the bed and reading out loud from a book about the Moomintrolls, and you go through your own childhood, and your kids, they go through something else. So I think it's here to stay.
You tell him! Go on! Go on!
The whole Moomin story, it's a classic, and it's still relevant today because it's dealing with issues and feelings that, you know, is still accurate. So it's timeless. It's a great escape from a lot of other things for kids to watch that are just sort of fast-paced and colder, more artificial.
Maybe we should keep going.
Moomins are popular and will be popular way after our time is over, because they represent something that is very human in one way, and that is to have a positive attitude at life. They are very simple.
I don't think so.
Their motto is not to cave in, to sit and whine and cry about things. They try to see, even if it rains one week, they try to see the beauty in that week of rain.
I'm glad someone's happy.
I think that what makes the Moomins so unique and so beloved is the incredible warmth that this character has, the amount of love. And I also think that they have really, really great values. It's all about taking care of each other and respecting each other and understanding each other's differences.
Help that monster! Slime ball!
I remember watching the Moomins as a kid, and I just remember that I always wanted to hug them and like touch the tails. And I really remember feeling really at ease. There's something that's so forgiving about them. You know, watching it now, it takes me back to that same feeling. It's just very, very peaceful, and it's a happy place.
Oh, it's perfect. I love it.
I think it's a special world because it's so small. It's a little valley with some fantastic creatures that you can relate to, and at the same time they can go on a journey for 10 minutes and they're on the other side of the world, or they're on a star or on a planet somewhere. So everything is possible in their universe, and you still think that you belong inside the universe as well. It's not enormous, but they can go everywhere.
Perfect. Let's say these buns are the larger planets. The sugar bowl can be the sun. This bit of bread is the Earth.
It's something that we can relate to. It's very human. It's very naive. They deal with the big questions of life in a very naive way. Not dumb, not stupid, but just basically a naive approach. And I think that's something that every kid in the world can relate to and start just joining that adventure.
There's too much adventure for me.
Since it's so incredibly human and humane, the material, it also allows every character, even if they're grumpy, even if they're strange or have oddities, they are just as much worth as anybody else. And you accept them with their oddities, and you treat them like everybody else.
Oh, listen here, young man. Science is no joking matter. I refuse to stand here and be insulted.
Nobody's flawless, maybe except the mother, because she's such a magnificent character that you can't believe that she can exist. But especially the father, he's a dreamer, and he sometimes have no clue about reality. But he's gonna be fine anyway, and all those dreams that are not realistic, they're allowed to be there.
For the love of waffles, I can't understand it. How have I collected so much junk over the years?
It reminds me of my kind of growing up in Stockholm, because my home was also very open. They have all these weird people, you know, like Sniff and Snork Maiden and Snork, who basically stay with him, some for a while, some forever. And growing up, my home was kind of like that. We had this guy who came to stay with us. He was supposed to be with us stay with us for a little while, and he ended up staying with us for 14 years.
Well, strike me pink.
It doesn't matter who you are, or what your background is, or why you come to them. If you're just a good person, they invite you in and take care of you, you know? The feeling that there's something meaningful in every meeting and in every exchange, and something wonderful can come out of that.
You flat-foot liberty-gibbet! You're as ugly as crumbled wrapping paper!
They are so smart. They have reduced everything into simplicity. And I think if we human beings really sat down and looked at life, we're here for a short moment, and then we die. As the old blues song says, we're just here for a short moment and then we die. If we really sat down and saw how simple life is, we would stop running around like crazy and try to buy new cars and new houses and make a lot of money and run around like crazy. We would do other things with our lives. That's what the Moomins are doing.
Personally, I've never trusted people who keep their heads in the clouds.
If there is a special Moomintroll philosophy, I guess it's there will never be a problem so big that you can't solve it. And I think that's a nice lesson to teach your kids.
Off we go!
Night fell, but they didn't want to spend the night down on the seabed.
Come, maybe we can sleep up here.
They decided to stay up on a cliff that had probably been a small island before the sea disappeared. Yes, the sea. Moomintroll wondered if it would ever return. But then he thought, Mama will surely know how to put everything right.
What do you think?